Welcome to the ultimate guide for DMZ. I know there are other guides out there on YouTube for DMZ, but a lot of those were posted in like the first couple of days it came out from people who had maybe gone in a couple of times. I've been in hundreds of times. We've got up to the tier 5 missions, we've completed a lot of the tier 5 missions, so I feel like I've got a really good understanding of how all of this works. And in this video, we're going to go through absolutely everything. If you watch the end of the video, you are an absolute legend, and please don't forget to leave a like. Right, let's get started. We have a lot to get through. First of all, what is DMZ? I would say it's not quite like Tarkov or Hunt Showdown or The Cycle, which I've seen it compared to lots of times. It does definitely share elements of a lot of those games, but it is its own thing, and it still very much feels like Call of Duty. Don't be put off if you tried and really didn't like Tarkov, because the mechanics, the shooting, the movement, even just the way the missions work and everything like that, it's way more accessible than Tarkov, and in my mind at least, it's a lot more fun. The boring answer for what is DMZ is that it's a mission-based co-op PvPvE extraction shooter set in the open world of Al Mazrah, but that's a lot of jargon, so let's try and break it down for normal people. First of all, the open world of Al Mazrah is much the same as it is in Battle Royale. Locations are the same, vehicles are broadly similar, but you don't have that massive helicopter available. The big difference is that this map has hundreds of AI all over. Rather than just staying in the strongholds like they do in Battle Royale, they are everywhere. Everything you do in the game is affected by those AI. They patrol buildings, they guard choke points, they drop in via helicopter and parachute, they drive around in armored vehicles, they'll probably spawn behind you. They're an absolute nightmare, to be honest. At the start of the game, they usually lack armor, but their guns can still burn you down incredibly quickly. Like, you can find yourself in a bad situation so fast, and they rarely miss. They're way too accurate at the moment, and I kind of hope they change that at some point. In special areas, and as the game goes on, they get better equipped with full separate head and chest armor and powerful weapons like RPGs and even sniper rifles. Never take the AI for granted. Even the lowliest grunt with a shotgun can easily kill you before you even notice they're there. So why would you want to go into the Battle Royale map but covered in deadly AI? To complete missions. The progression of DMZ revolves all around these missions. At launch we have 3 factions, Legion, White Lotus, and then another one that I call Black Moo, a lot of people call Black Mouse, and their icon does look like it has a mouse on it, so it probably is Black Mouse. Each faction has 5 tiers, and each tier has 7 missions in it. You have to complete 5 out of the 6 of the first set of missions in each tier to unlock the final mission, and then you complete that mission to move on to the next tier. That means you can skip 1 mission per tier, which is a godsend. You don't have to complete every one. A couple of them are bugged at the moment, and some of them are just incredibly grindy. Annoyingly, a couple of the ones that are bugged at the moment, like the White Lotus tier 4 one, is the last one, which means that you can't actually progress through that tier to get onto tier 5. Completing missions does unlock operator skins and weapon blueprints, but also a bunch of items you can use within DMZ itself. They also give loads of experience. They range in complexity from performing a couple of simple actions as a kind of tutorial in tier 1, all the way up to long multi-step objectives that take many games to complete and completely reset if you die in tier 5. Thankfully, you don't have to do any of this alone. You can go into DMZ with up to 3 players in your squad. There will be 22 other teams entering the map, or 21 other teams. There's 22 teams in total, so that means there's 66 players in a game of DMZ. Most of them will want to kill you if they see you, but if you're nice, you can use the proxy chat to talk to them, and you can actually invite them to join your squad and potentially get a squad of 6 players going around doing missions. Before you enter the game, you're asked to choose your mission set and your loadout. In your mission set, you can pick 3 missions to have active at once, and it's always a good idea to fill all of those slots because you never know when you're going to find an object you need for a mission, or you'll get a type of kill that you need or something like that. Normally, we pick a mission that we really want to do, and then a couple of missions that might just happen along the way, normally finding objects and extracting with them. If your teammates complete objectives for most of the missions, their progress will count for you too, but not always. Some of the later ones where you need kills, you have to get the kills personally. For your loadout that you need to set up, you have 2 weapon slots, lethal, tactical, field upgrade, and then a backpack. For the weapon slots, you can choose to use either an insured weapon or contraband. Insured weapons are made in Gunsmith, just like how you make them for your Warzone and multiplayer loadouts. You can use anything that you've unlocked in the game, so all of the attachments and all of that kind of stuff. The big difference here is that if you lose it in a mission by dropping it or swapping it out for something or getting killed, That insured weapon slot will be locked for 2 hours, meaning you can't take another gunsmith weapon in. You can reduce the timer by completing missions and exfilling with cash, and you can get more insured slots by completing tier 3 for every faction, and then you get another one for completing tier 5 with one faction. But the second slot has a 4-hour cooldown instead of 2, and I'm guessing the last slot's cooldown is even worse. We haven't completed tier 5 just yet, so we don't know. Contraband weapons are weapons that you've exfilled from DMZ with previously, or you can sometimes get them from completing missions. You can't edit the attachments or visuals of these guns at all, and if you die with them or drop them in the DMZ, they are gone for good. If you lose absolutely every gun, so you don't have any weapons in your inventory, and then you die, apparently the game offers to give you a set of starter weapons to start again. I haven't actually had this happen to me, but some people have said they've had to go in with fists, and some people have said that they've been given some more weapons. It is fairly easy to go in just with fists and grab a gun from a nearby house or beat up one of the early easy AI, so I wouldn't worry too much about running out of guns. For the tactical and lethal and field upgrade slots, you can go with pretty much whatever you want, except for things like armor boxes and revive pistols. You can only take them in if you're extracting with one in the previous game. Armor holders and self-revives do persist between rounds, so if you extract with one, you can then go into the next game with that same one, but you can't store it in any kind of inventory, you just still have them equipped. You can always equip one piece of armor, but you can find 2 and 3 plate holders around the map. So now you're set up, you've got your squad, you've picked all 3 missions that you're going to go in with, hopefully the same ones as your squad, be more efficient, and you have your loadouts. Now the game begins. When you start a round of DMZ, you don't drop in from the sky. Instead, you spawn at one of over 20 locations around the map. I think there's 26 maybe, mostly around the outskirts. You then have a timer start at 25 minutes. Somewhere on the map you'll see a radiation circle. After 25 minutes is up, this circle is going to start expanding rapidly until eventually it takes over the whole map. Hopefully you've left by then. At the middle of this radiation circle is an NPC called the Chemist. If you take gas masks or radiation pills to this area, or you can just kill the AI there, they'll drop gas masks too, and you can live long enough to take out the Chemist, you can claim his gun, which is a special yellow M13. Getting out with this gun is how you unlock the M13 for like multiplayer and battle royale. Annoyingly, you don't get to keep the blueprint, it becomes contraband. It doesn't like unlock that blueprint for other modes, which is a real shame because it's a really cool looking gun. Also on the map you'll see 3 exfil sites. This is how you escape. Unlike Battle Royale, you don't have to worry about being the last team standing. Instead, you choose when to exfil by going to one of these sites and calling in a helicopter. You then need to wait a short time until the helicopter arrives and you can get on. If you're with your whole squad, there's a 5-second timer once you're on board and the helicopter takes off, but you can still be killed at any time until you leave the map. If your squad mates aren't on board, you can still leave whenever you want, but the time is 30 seconds just in case they want to get on to give them a bit of chance to get there. Your team can all leave on different helicopters if you want, there's no need to all extract at the same time or anything like that. When the radiation reaches an exfil site, it will be disabled. Once all exfil sites are consumed by the circle of radiation, one last exfil site will appear with a short timer. I think it's about 2 minutes. That's your last chance to get out of the DMZ alive, so you have to get there super quickly. It will always be the furthest part of the map away from the radiation center, so you can kind of predict where it's going to be before it appears. A large orange circle on the map will show you where a weapon case is. When you enter this area, a Juggernaut will spawn along with many very difficult AI. If you manage to kill the Juggernaut, you can grab his weapon case, but every player on the map will know where you are. If you manage to escape the DMZ with this case, you'll unlock rewards like an operator skin and then even a weapon blueprint. There's 7 rewards up for grabs and you get one of those rewards for each weapon case you extract with. And then if you extract more weapon cases after that, I think you just get like 10,000 experience. There are buy stations around the map, just like there are in Battle Royale, and here you can sell items you pick up for cash and then spend that cash on things like equipment and armor. Each buy station has a random selection of items on sale. It's worth noting at this point that you can't buy players back if they're dead. Instead, the mechanics work a bit differently in this. If a player on your team gets shot, they will go down, just like they do in Battle Royale, and you can res them. If their timer expires and no one reses them, or they get shot a bit more, they'll go into like a more dead status, I guess. And here, they can still be be revived, but it takes a very long time. So if a player on your team is completely dead, as long as you survive, you take out the threat, you make the area safe, you can go resurrect them, but it takes a really, really long time, and the progress actually saves, so you can like res them a little bit, then go fight a little bit more, then come back, and you won't have lost any progress. That's really useful if they do something like drowning underwater, where you need to keep on diving down to resurrect them. There's also contracts on the map. These are a little bit different from the Battle Royale versions. So we have a lot of these. I'm going to go through them one by one. First of all, you have hostage. In this, you need to storm a small stronghold and find a hostage who has a bomb on their chest. If you disarm the bomb, a helicopter will be called that you need to carry the hostage to, and you can only use pistols while you're carrying the hostage. To complete the mission, you just drop the hostage on the Exfil heli, and then you can go out with that if you want to. You can extract using that helicopter, and that has the added bonus that it doesn't appear on the map for other players. So it's often quite a good way to leave the DMZ if you want to leave without getting too much attention. The second type of contract is a weapon chest. This will show the location of a large vault. If you interact with the vault, it will start a timer during which waves of enemies will spawn and try to attack you while you've got this like drill on the vault. If you hold them off, the vault will open and you can claim some powerful contraband weapons as well as other loot. To be honest, we don't really ever do this one. It takes absolutely ages, and you can easily find other good weapons all around the map or by killing players. The next contract is High Value Target. This marks an area on the map where a group of stronger AI will spawn. One of them has a slightly different uniform on. You've just got to kill this target before the timer expires. Often you'll be able to get keys doing this, so if you're trying to get keys, this isn't a bad way of doing it, because it's a super easy contract to do. The next one is a player bounty. This will mark an area where players are present. The area is absolutely huge and doesn't update regularly, so it's actually quite hard to find enemies. We've had plenty of games where we just couldn't find a person in the circle. To complete this, you need to kill every player on a squad, not just one of them. Another contract is Sabotage. This will mark 2 areas on the map where you need to set explosives and then defend them against the AI. A couple of like AI helicopters will come and drop off more troops. Once the objectives explode, the locations of any nearby safes will be marked on your map for you. The next one is an intel mission. This will mark an area where you can find a laptop making whirring noises. When you interact with the laptop, you'll receive a little bit of data, which you must then upload at a nearby marked tower. Sometimes you have to climb all the way up the towers to do this, and that's super dangerous. If there's AI around the bottom, they will shoot you off the ladder, so make sure you clear the area before you start climbing. Completing it will tell you exactly where the Juggernaut is, or if they're already dead, it will spawn a helicopter commander and will tell you where that one is instead. The next contract is the radioactive material one. This marks a locker for you where you can receive a Geiger counter for your team. I think you actually get more than one. You get one for each person on your team. 2 areas of the map will be marked where you can explore looking for like radioactive containers. The Geiger counters replace your tactical, and you can look at them to kind of check the reading. The higher it goes, the closer you are to the container. They're normally really easy to find. The areas aren't that big at all. Once you find a container, you can open it up, take everything out of it, and once you've done both of them, then that will complete the mission for you. Once you've got one of those Geiger counters, you can actually do more radioactive missions, and you can just go straight to finding the containers. You don't need to go pick up another Geiger counter. So you can actually do those quite fast. It's not a bad way of making money. And the final contracts are the cargo contracts. There's land and sea versions of them, and basically they take you to a vehicle. The land one is an armoured LTV with a turret on top, the other one is an armoured boat, and then you've got to drive that to another location while being chased by a helicopter that's shooting you. You can use the turrets obviously to try and destroy the helicopter, but once you get close to the objective, the helicopter will just fly away anyway. As a bonus for that, you get to keep the vehicle, which with the armoured LTV that's pretty good, like those are pretty good vehicles. The armoured boats are kind of rubbish, I wouldn't bother with those. So aside from the contracts, there's also SAM sites on the map. This is a different kind of little mini mission where you can capture them by killing the AI there and then interacting with the SAM site. That'll start a timer where you have to defend them for a while, and once it's complete, the SAM site will shoot down planes which will drop cargo crates that can be collected. They often have rare weapons, items and valuables inside. As a bonus, the SAM sites will also shoot down enemy helicopters, the reinforcement ones that come down, and the player helicopters. They won't shoot down the Exfil ones though, so don't worry about doing an Exfil near a SAM site, it won't affect it at all. Sometimes on the map there'll be a skull icon, that's the commander that I mentioned earlier. They fly attack helicopters which mostly leave you alone, but if you start shooting it, they'll fly after you and they'll keep on pummeling you with machine gun fire and rockets. If you take one down, it'll drop a special crate that contains things like golden skulls sometimes and armor. They often have really good loot inside. Strongholds are present on the map, and you can actually see them when you're going around. They'll have big orange flags on them, but they're less exciting than they are in Battle Royale. You need a Stronghold keycard to get inside, and that drops from loads of different enemies, and you can reuse it as many times as you want. Completing them lets you take the loot inside, but there's not really that much incentive to do them. A lot of the missions require you to do things involving Strongholds, so that's the main reason you're probably going to go there. There are no black sites in DMZ, so that's not a thing you need to worry about. Now, around the map, other than the Strongholds, you will often find named locked doors, and these require keys. We found 88 unique keys so far. There are a lot of these. Some of them have special icon next to them, and that means they're for a denied area. Those ones can be bought at buy stations. Like, each buy station has a chance to have one of those keys in it. It's completely random. They cost $30,000. The other keys drop completely randomly. There's a few that appear as sort of mission rewards, and others are part of Easter egg chains which spawn in the same place every time, but you need a lot of luck to find most of the specific keys you need. Keys do persist through Exfil, so you can extract with them and then store them in your key inventory, which annoyingly only has 20 slots, and then you can then choose to bring them in on a mission where you actually need them. Each key has up to 3 uses available, represented by little horizontal bars. Once it's used up, it's gone. Be wary, if you open a deadbolt from inside, which you can normally do without a key, it will consume one of the uses of the key, so you can actually end up burning through a key way too fast doing that. Keys can be found just dropping off enemies. High value targets usually have them. We find a lot in duffel bags, but they can basically be absolutely anywhere in any container. You can definitely find them in toolboxes and stuff like that as well. The containers and rooms opened by keys rarely have anything special inside. Sometimes they've got, some slightly more expensive loot, but a few of them have items with lore attached that are part of missions or Easter eggs. If you find keys for things like the crane control room or the poppy farmer's house, save those because you're going to need them for a mission at some point. There is one mission where you need the hotel room 302 key. You don't actually need a key for that. You can just drop in through the skylight on the roof and then open the door from the inside to complete that mission. Dotted around the map are also some dead drops. These aren't marked on the minimap or anything like that on the tactical map, but you can just find them in game. These are containers, usually big dumpsters, where you can drop money or items. Kind of like how you would sell items to buy stations. You can sell items to buy stations to get money back. You can do the same thing at dead drops. Some missions require you to drop specific objects in specific dead drops. Sometimes enemies will also drop a radio. You can activate this to get like a short range UAV. Enemy AI on the UAV are represented by horizontal empty diamonds, while real players are solid diamonds. You can also use UAV towers that are dotted around the map just by interacting with them. Annoyingly, if you do manage to get an advanced UAV, the icons are the exact same for both AI and players, so you can't actually tell who's a player and who's an AI, which is kind of frustrating. Now, when you fight the other players, when you down them, you can hold interact on them, like you can in Battle Royale, to interrogate them and find out the locations of the rest of their squad. And if you kill them, you can loot their dog tags, which can be sold for $2,500. When you pick up an enemy's dog tag, their whole team will be able to see the general area you're in until you get rid of them. Generally, the format of each round of DMZ is that you drop in, loot up a bit if you need to, then get on with completing your mission objectives. Then get to an Exfil site when you're done or running out of time and get out. Of course, at any point, players could find you and fight you or join you. People could be camping the Exfil and need to be dealt with, or you might go and ruin someone's day by killing them while they're exfilling. It's super unpredictable and leads to plenty of crazy stories. I absolutely love DMZ. So hopefully this guide has explained a lot of the elements of DMZ to you. If you have any other questions about DMZ, let me know in the comments. Someone will answer you, or I might get around to it. If there's something that you think I've missed talking about DMZ, please let me know in the comments, and then maybe I'll talk about it in a future video, or I'll pin the comments that I think are really useful. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.